Hi there, welcome to Rick's Recipes, and I'm going to be making a variation on this chicken Dhansak. It's going to have loads more vegetables in it, and I'm going to aim to make it 0 points rather than 1 point. So here we go. Hi there, welcome to the first ever episode of Rick's Recipes. Now, I'm generally going to do mostly kind of vegetarian stuff because I'm not really into meat that much, but I do happen to have some chicken in the fridge, mainly because my daughter wanted to make something, but now she's gone off to France for the summer, so I need to use it up anyway. But I'm not really into meat, and I'm not really into supermarket meat either. I don't know where the chicken was before it ended up here, or the chickens, I don't know. But anyway, so I'm just going to open this and then sort of give it a bit of a, I'm going to give it a bit of a rinse and cut off any nasty bits and then chop it up, and then that's what I'll start with. Okay, so that's the chicken there. It doesn't look very appetizing, but we're going to cook it up and make a lovely curry out of it anyway, so it's going to be really cool. Okay, so I'm making this recipe because I'm following a Weight Watcher plan, and Weight Watchers use a kind of system of points. So the kind of bad food, well, not particularly the bad food, but the more calorific food tends to have more points or so. So my idea generally is to try and avoid using the points if possible, and I can use the points on things that I like wine and beer and the occasional piece of cheese, but yeah, mostly I'm going to try and use 0 point food. So chicken is 0 points. Okay, so that's good. Now what isn't 0 points is olive oil, which I want to fry this up in. I know in a traditional Indian recipe you'd probably use ghee or something like that. Okay, well I'm not going to do that because I kind of like the sort of purity of olive oil, if you like. Okay, now in the Weight Watcher app, when you scan the olive oil that I'm going to use, it comes up with 4 points, but that's for 1 tablespoon, right? So I want to find out what in, say, grams, how many grams would be 1 point. Okay, so looks like 4 grams is 1 point, okay, and then it gets to like 6 grams is 2 points. So I'm going to see if I can actually use 3 grams of olive oil. Now the idea is this is going to be a recipe for about 6 portions, I would say, probably even more than that. But if I can get it so I'm using like 1 point's worth of olive oil, then that divided by 6 is pretty much 0. So let's get my favourite saucepan out. And this on the scales uses the function where it's already taken into account the weight of the saucepan. So I'm going to see what 1 gram is. Okay, that's 3 grams. Okay, that's not very much. Actually 5 was still 1 point, wasn't it? So let's leave it as 5 grams. Okay, and you see here that isn't really very much at all, but that should be enough just to stop the chicken sticking when we put it on the cooker. Okay, so it's just to heat up that oil and then we'll chuck the chicken in. Okay, so once you get the oil quite hot, you see it's sort of, it's almost like you've got a reasonable amount of oil there, and there's really hardly any. So I'm going to keep that swizzling around. Meanwhile, I'm going to chop up an onion and some other things. Now there's quite a lot of chicken there, so I'm actually going to use 3 onions because that's what I'm like. I'm just going to have a look what other random veg I've got, because I normally like to put some other kind of vegetables in there, whatever I've got. Sometimes it's green pepper, sometimes it's I don't know, courgette or something like that. I'll see what I've got. Yeah, I got this courgette. Let's put that in, eh? Chicken's starting to cook reasonably well now. So I'm going to stick the onion in first of all, because the onion will take a little bit more cooking than the courgette, obviously. Get that all going round. Okay. While that's doing that, prepare some garlic. I've got these chilies. These actually aren't particularly hot. Because usually you find the bigger the chilies, the less hot they are. In fact, if you bite the end off one, it just tastes like a pepper. I'm going to put all these chilies in. And I just try and slice these as thinly as I can. It's not very thin, is it? Actually, this knife's not very good. I think I've had it for about 30 years, I think. Obviously, if you're not into chilli, then just don't use as much. We could use chilli powder, or you do whatever you want, really. I mean, the idea is to get some, natural flavours in there. So there's that. Actually, I've got some garlic here that needs using up, so I'll use that. Maybe a bit more from this new one. I like to get the big garlic, with the really big cloves. And I like garlic, so I'm going to use about 5 cloves. And I know some people will think that I'm just going over the top with the, with everything really. But I am bulk making this, so it's going to do me for, I would probably say 6 meals, maybe even 8. So I'm going to And with garlic, I used to have one of those garlic crusher things, but I really hate washing them up, because you have to sort of poke the garlic out of all the holes and stuff, So what I do now is I just kind of sort of squash it with the end of a knife like that. Or you could slice it. Okay, so that's that done. Then I like to put ginger in curries, probably quite a bit to be honest. So like half, about that much. And I think you're supposed to peel it, but I just don't do it particularly well because I really don't think it matters that much. Obviously any dirty grubby bits you can take off. God, I love the smell of this. See, to me that's good enough. And then I just chop that up really, sort of slice it up really small. You can grate it with a cheese grater, but yeah, again I just can't be bothered to wash them up. I'd rather just do everything on the chopping board than just give the chopping board a good wash afterwards. By the way, after you've been handling chilies, particularly if they're hot ones, do wash your hands, because if you sort of stick your fingers in your eyes or something afterwards, it can be very, very stingy. And also if you if you go to the toilet and touch any sensitive parts, that can sting as well. Anyway, let's keep this family friendly. Okay, we can start sticking stuff in the pan now. So you see the chicken's pretty much there, isn't it? So what I'll probably do is stick the courgette in next. I'm going to let that cook for a bit before I put the rest of it in. Okay, so I'm going to put the rest of the stuff in now. I was hoping to have some fresh coriander, but I've got hardly any because my plants sort of died, but I'll show you the rest of the spices in a moment. But if you've got fresh coriander, I'll stick it in now because you get the nice smell coming off. And then you've got the chilies, ginger, the garlic. Okay. Just let that cook around for a while. At this point, if you've got an extractor fan or something, I'd probably put it on because sometimes the chilies cooking can catch in your throat a little bit and it makes you cough. But I think these are quite mild, so I'm not going to worry too much. Right, I'll show you the spices I've got ready, okay? Now I know everyone would have done it really neatly, but I didn't. Okay, I've got turmeric. You don't want too much turmeric, you know, for like a portion you'd want sort of like half a teaspoon or something like that. Otherwise things can taste a little bit bitter. So that's turmeric for the whole lot, you know. Got cumin there, some cumin. See, I don't measure anything. That's ground coriander. I tend to use twice as much coriander as I do cumin. This one here is fenugreek, which I quite like. That one is called asafoetida. Now I've got some black pepper and some salt. I don't normally put them on the plate, but I just put it in the pan. But so you can see what I'm doing, I just thought I'd put them on the plate. There are various ways you can do that. You could just use curry powder if you wanted, it doesn't really matter. But you know, if you look at various Indian recipes, it will have stuff like that. Now then, lemons are not just for gin and tonics. You can also put them in curries and it makes them nice and tangy. So I'm going to juice a whole lemon. I never use half lemons because otherwise you just end up with half a lemon in the fridge doing nothing. So I'll just use the whole thing. Okay, let's go and have a look at the pan again. Okay. So at this point it's all kind of cooking quite well. I also want to cook some lentils as well, because I want it to be a Dhansak. So I'm going to put some lentils in the pan. Might need a few more than that. I've actually done quite a lot there. Then I'm going to put about the same again in water on top of them. I'm going to put a lid on that just to speed up the boiling process, because this cooker is pretty rubbish. Okay, now this is all starting to get a little bit sticky, right? So I think this is a good point to turn the heat off on this ring and do the next bit. And the next bit is putting all the spices in there. Okay, so I've turned the heat off, so hopefully it won't stick too much. So the idea is you get all the, you know, the chicken and all that is all kind of coated with the spices. Which looks pretty good. You know, I almost feel like it needs more vegetables in there, but I know technically you're not supposed to. I might actually make some sort of spinach dish to go with this and make that a different video. And it's not going to be very Weight Watcher friendly, but I've got some paneer cheese and I love making Saag paneer. It's like spinach and cheese. It's brilliant. It's one of my favourite things. Okay, right. So that is pretty much nicely coated. Right, I'm just going to open some tins of tomatoes. Now what I totally failed to record here was adding the lemon juice to the pan and then just swishing it all around, getting all the lemon juice and spices all mixed together. These are just the you know, Morrison's cheap ones. Okay. There was actually 3 tins of tomatoes there, but like I say, I'm, you know, making quite a large portion here. Okay. So I can put the heat back on that a little bit. When I lived in France, I had an induction hob, and it's the best thing I've ever had. This isn't, unfortunately. Now I've got my secret ingredient here, and it's not as good as it could be because this is tamarind sauce. I would love it to be tamarind paste, because tamarind paste comes out at 0 points with Weight Watchers, and this doesn't. Let me scan the code. Okay, so you see here, this comes out 1 tablespoon is 2 points. So I think 1 tablespoon divided by, say, 6 portions. So look, 1/6 of a tablespoon comes out at 0 points. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon of it in, which is probably about that. But that does give it quite a magical sort of, you know, very sort of Indian sort of flavour. Okay. So look how many lentils are doing. They're just coming up to the boil. I know some of you would have probably used a separate spoon to stir the lentils with, but I don't care. So yeah. So it looks like lentils are coming up to the boil, so I'll take the lid off there. Now the reason I do them separate is because when you boil lentils, you get this kind of like sort of scummy sort of stuff on the top, and I kind of just like to scoop that off and get rid of that. But I don't know what it is, but I know if that ends up in here, it doesn't taste quite as good as it does. Do you know, I really wish I had some fresh coriander. I'm going to have to look after my plants better. Do you know, I'm not sure that tastes curry enough, so I might just get some of this and put that in there. In fact, there's not much in there. I might just put it all in, it'll be alright. Right, so you see this scummy stuff here on the lentils. I normally just sort of scoop that off a little bit. I don't know if you need to. I've just always done it. Turn that down a bit now. That'll do. I'm going to give the lentils 10 minutes. Tell you what, in our house there's always some of this lying around in the fridge, where it's usually when my youngest daughter started to make a pizza or something, she used a little bit and then the rest of it just sits in the fridge. So I'm going to put a bit of that in here as well. It's all good. I'll leave some for her though. I'll just put a bit more black pepper in. Yeah, I just like a bit of pepper. You know what, these lentils have had about 5 minutes now, and I think they're kind of ready to go in there. So it's all going to cook for more in here, so that's all good, isn't it? So I might just turn that ring off and then chuck these in here. I love lentils. If I hadn't used the chicken, what I would have probably done, I'd have probably started off with a butternut squash, and I'd have chopped it up, roasted it in the oven, and used that instead of the chicken. Or the other thing I could do is use jackfruit. I'll do that in another recipe in the future. Right, this is all looking very nice. It's quite lentily, you see, which is how I like it. I've got some bay leaves that I got from sort of like a local Indian shop. Actually, it's the one in Whipton Village in Exeter, and you get this lovely big sort of bay leaves here. So I'm going to basically just leave this alone now, just leave it simmering for, I don't know, 20 minutes, something like that. So I'm going to put that bay leaf in there, and we'll find that later. That should help to give it a nice taste. So I'm going to put a lid on that, turn the heat down, and wait about 20 minutes. Well, I'll do the washing up actually. But you know what? I mean, it's been cooking for about 15 minutes now. I don't think it's vegetably enough for my liking. So I'm going to add some whole baby leaf spinach from Sainsbury's actually. I'll chuck a few of these in. So I really like spinach. There you go. So I suppose the title of this video will have to be something like Chicken Saag Dhansak. So I think saag is the Indian word for spinach. Because what I was thinking was I'm probably just going to be eating this myself probably. So I want to get me kind of vegetables, you know, me carbohydrate from me vegetables, which is the best carbohydrate in my mind. I'll probably end up just serving this with either rice, which is quite a few points with Weight Watchers, or I'll make cauliflower rice, or you can even use like one of them mini naan breads, which I think they come out like 2 or 3 points with Weight Watchers, you know. But this curry itself, for a portion, because there's only about 2 points in the whole of that, and I think this could make 8 portions at least. Let's put the lid back on it. I'll probably give it another 15 minutes or so. Okay, so let's have a look how we're doing. Okay, it's looking pretty amazing. Yeah, nice thick sort of sauce from all the lentils. Really cool. Okay, finishing touch, I'm going to put a bit of garam masala in there. It's supposed to be about like a teaspoonful, but I'm just put some in the cap and chuck it in. And the idea with the garam masala is it doesn't really cook with it in, so at this point it's the sort of end of the dish, if you like, and that just gives it the right kind of taste, makes it taste very authentic. So there you go. There is my, what shall I call it? I'll call it a chicken saag Dhansak. Okay, so it was completely delicious as you'd expect, and yeah, I've saved these other, there's like 6 portions here, but they're all different sizes, so this big one, that'll probably do like 2 or 3 meals, that's more like 1, but yeah, so I reckon out of the whole lot, there was probably about at least 8 portions, so I think that was like 0 points per curry. So if you like the sound of that, please give the video a like, leave a nice comment, and it's a brand new channel, so make sure you're subscribed, and see you soon at Rick's Recipes. Take care, bye. Just before I go, I'd like to say a massive love and respect to the Weight Watchers Tuesday Toby Carvery crew in Exeter, Devon, and my awesome coach, Kathy Jones. Rick out.